Hey guys, it's Greg by the Bootstraps, btbootstraps.com. Check out the store, check out the social media. I wanted to do a video. I haven't made one in the last couple of weeks, primarily because there's not been really a lot going on that I wanted to talk about. I mean, there has been some stuff, but there's been some, there's been some accidents in the military that came up. I posted on Facebook. There's been some things with some police officers that came up. I didn't post those on Facebook just because I think it was appropriate for some of the things that I'd seen. But this whole entire impeachment thing with the president and everything. I know I made a video previously talking about, ridiculousness of what was going on and what these Democrats were doing and things like that. But for the most part, I didn't want to have too much of an opinion or thought on it, just because I didn't want to interject politics into like this channel. And I've said this before, but now it's to the point. I feel like it almost needs to be done. I feel like if we don't step up and say something, then our voices essentially are silent, and it's almost by self-choice. So I kind of want to run down some things that I was thinking of, and just where I'm going with this, and why I'm like so frustrated watching this. I consider myself somewhat politically astute. I pay attention to the news. I read multiple news outlets and sources. I know I get accused by some people a lot on Facebook saying, you posted a story from Breitbart, you posted a story from Fox News, you're an idiot because you don't know the full truth. And the thing is, I don't go to just Fox News or Breitbart or The Blaze, to get, or the Daily Caller, or the Drudge Report to get my news. I go to the whole entire gambit of news sites, and I check them fairly regularly, Now, there are some that I deliberately stay away from just because I don't find their information relevant. However, this impeachment thing has been in the news since September, honestly. Since the Democrats decided that they were going to, do this trial for impeachment, or this investigation for impeachment, and the judicial and in the intelligence branch of the House, you've had Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler coming out and running this mock shit show of an investigation, right? During the investigation with the House Intel, I mean, they didn't even allow the Republican Party to sit in the trial to offer defense. They didn't give the president an opportunity to represent himself with counsel. They didn't give them any opportunity to call forth witnesses that Republicans wanted. It was only witnesses that the Democrats had hand-selected. And out of all those people that they spoke to, only one was an actual character witness, who I believe said that he was on the phone call, like in the room at the time of the phone call, and even he said that there was no quote-unquote collusion, or not collusion, but there was none of this quick pro pro, that Trump did not specifically say, investigate the Bidens or we won't give you the money for your military aid. Which, why are we giving Ukraine military aid constantly? I don't know. I don't think we should. But the point being is that it was never said. Transcript was put out by the administration, kind of took the wind out of their sails, and yet they still pushed through. Now they said, this investigation needs to be done. Needs to be done. Needs to go to Nancy Pelosi so that it can be done and go to the Senate. Well, if it was so important, it was such a detrimental, event to get this man removed, or at least to have him go to trial in the Senate, why then did she sit on the articles of impeachment for 33 days? I thought it was detrimental. I thought this needed to be done. And yet she sat on these things for 33 days. I'll tell you why, in my infantile little mind here. I think because they realized they didn't have anything. The two articles of impeachment that they're supposedly blaming Trump for is obstruction of Congress and, what's the other one? Abuse of power, right? Well, what abuse of power is there? If the Ukrainian president didn't know that, Trump was asking him to investigate the Bidens, particularly, that's another thing here. You keep talking about that Trump, he's investigating, he was trying to get political gain by investing in the Bidens. Well, if you go on the timeline from when they initially had this conversation, July 25th, between the president and the president of Ukraine, Biden had not even thrown his hat in the ring as being a presidential nominee hopeful. He was just thinking about it, but he never actually put in his hat in the ring up until that point. So how can you claim that, based on the timeline, that Trump was looking to sabotage or to get political favor against his political opponent, when he had not even announced. Other candidates had announced at that point, but not Biden. But somehow they knew that Biden was going to jump in the ring, even though no one really knew. Plus, the investigation that they're looking into is, it should be two things, honestly. It should be, how in the hell did Biden's son, with no experience in natural gas, no experience in Ukraine and speaking Ukraine, how did he get on a board membership, with this natural gas Ukrainian company, making, what was it, $1 million a year? Something along those lines? With no experience. He even openly admitted himself in that ridiculous interview that he gave that, oh, I don't have experience. Not in that. I have experience in other things, but not in that. Yeah, but you're being hired specifically to be on the board of this natural gas company, which you know nothing about, and yet somehow you are the most qualified individual, and you just so happen to be the vice president of Sun at the time. Which is more alarming is that I know the Republicans, when they did their opening arguments in the Senate trial, one of the days they led, I think it was Pam Bondi, she led with the videotape of Biden admitting to a group of fundraisers or people that he was speaking to about when he had spoke to the Prime Minister or the President of Ukraine at the time, telling them to fire the prosecutor who was looking into the son's, or looking into the business that his son worked at. What was it called? Burisma, I think it was called. And he tells him in this video that he openly mocks, and he's telling these people, I tell the guy from Ukraine that you're going to fire the prosecutor, or I'm not going to get you this foreign aid money. I think it was $1 billion in foreign aid. And the guy says, well, you're not the president. Joe Biden said, well, call him yourself. I'm leaving in 6 hours. Either he's gone or you don't get the money. And I think the famous line is, well, son of a bitch, was he not fired? Oh, well, okay. So is that not a quid pro quo? The same thing that you're accusing Trump of that you can't find proof and validity of, you actually have your nominee, who was the vice president at the time, laughing about it in front of a group of donors, and no one is paying attention to that clip. That clip has come up and been played multiple times on multiple different radios and multiple different TV shows, and no one is talking about that. Apparently we can't talk to Biden because, he might, he's a candidate now. Well, he wasn't a candidate at the time, and it does not reek of corruption in and of itself. But yet you were charging the president though with articles of impeachment for saying that he did something that he didn't do. That according to the transcript and according to all the all the witnesses that were there, again, out of what was it, the 7 witnesses that they had, no one except for one actually heard the conversation, and the one person who actually did hear the conversation said that he didn't say that. I mean, talk about a weak argument. And then the other one is obstruction of Congress. Well, what about executive privileges? First of all. Second of all, what obstruction of Congress? Anytime a president vetoes a bill of any kind, is that not obstruction of Congress? So could you not go to Obama and Bush and Clinton and anyone else who vetoed a bill from Congress and say, oh, this is now obstruction of Congress. We can impeach you on this. So you have a dictatorship from the House of Representatives now? Because that's essentially what you're saying. I mean, obviously it's ludicrous. No one would follow that. That's not how our Constitution is written. That's not how we conduct ourselves. But that's essentially what they're saying. So now this mockery of a trial, that was so important to get these articles of impeachment, done and sent to the Senate after being sat on for 33 days by Nancy Pelosi. We're now sitting in this trial where the House members, the ones who are running this prosecutor team, they're trying to demand that the GOP senators be forced to bring witnesses, primarily this Bolton, Trump's advisor. On top of that, they want to bring in Podesta, I think it is too, right? Like they're demanding that they have this. Well, that's not how this works. Your job as the House was to present a solid case and a solid set of evidence to the Senate so that the Senate could hear hear what you had to say, and then come to a decision based on the information that you had. Not the information that you gather after the fact, but the information you have as it stands when it went to the Senate. And now you're saying after the fact, no, we need to bring in more. It's not done yet. We need to add to this. That's not how this works. But on top of that, where do you think you get the right And then to sit there and say that, oh, we don't do, I mean, you have Nadler up there condemning representatives in the Senate, telling them that if you don't do this, you're complicit of treason? You're complicit in conspiracy? Well, you should have done your job better. And weren't you not the same fat fuck just 25 years ago saying that we can't have this partisan, impeachment trial? It would cause so much of a dilemma and a divide within the country. And yet here you are doing the exact same thing. Nancy Pelosi was up there saying it. Nadler was saying it. Schumer was saying it. And now these same people are out there saying the exact opposite. Do they not think they weren't recorded, that we didn't have recording devices? And then they say, okay, well, we want these witnesses. So Ted Cruz says, okay, witness reciprocity, which I think is a good idea. I don't think they should be calling witnesses, but if you're going to call a witness, then GOP ought to be able to call a witness of someone that they want to talk to. I think some pretty good ones right off the list just that come to mind. How about Schiff, the liar? The one who sat there and said in the investigation that this whole thing started, by the way, from him. He's the one who supposedly his administration, his office spoke to the whistleblower and got this whole entire ball rolling. And then he tells the American public on TV and to the other House members that he's never spoken to the whistleblower. Then how did all this start? If you've never spoken to the guy, then how did it start? I mean, you're incredibly lying yet again. But he wants to sit there and demand that, again, John Bolton go up there and testify in front of the Senate. And some of our ridiculous GOP leaders, Mitt Romney for one, are actually considering it. Gee, it has maybe nothing to do with the fact that John Bolton, well, first of all, was he in the room? Did he hear it specifically? Speculation there. Two, did Trump say something, did he say something, maybe off the cuff, but did he act on it? It's one thing to say something. It's another thing to actually act on it. And did he act on it? We don't know yet. Certainly, again, the Ukrainian government and the president from Ukraine had no idea that that they might have withheld aid or not. He didn't know that they were looking for an investigation by his own admission. He's already admitted it now several times to the public that we didn't discuss anything. This was never brought up. So you can't have a quid pro quo if the person you're having the quid pro quo with is not even aware that it even exists. That's just conspiracy talk. But now they want to bring John Bolton in, which, by the way, maybe the guy has a vendetta against Trump because he was very publicly fired, and he just so happened to write a book about what happened during this time. His book is even going on right now through a declassification review. They're making sure that the material that's in there, there's no classified information in there. Of course, the media is having a heyday with it. So, oh my God, they're trying to stop his word. They're trying to do. No, it's a standard process. Anytime someone who works in administration who had a clearance level, particularly a high clearance level, anytime they wrote a memoir or a book, it's got to go through a declassification process to make sure that nothing of value or of importance or national security is being leaked. But supposedly now it's a conspiracy too. Everything's a conspiracy. This thing is disgusting to watch. If you're a Trump supporter or you voted for Trump, to have this president supposedly removed or trying to be removed over literally nothing. There are so many things that if you disagree with him with, you could probably point to and say, okay, yeah. But this has been a 3-year ongoing nonstop crap. First it was Russia and the Russia investigation with Robert Mueller, and when that thing fell short, then it was all of a sudden Ukraine. My question is, if this thing falls flat again, what's it going to be next time? What's going to be the next, uproar du jour of the week or the month or of the season? Keep going, guys. All you're doing in the process is pissing off a lot of people who are going to deliberately vote you out or vote against you for the other opponent. Maybe because they don't even believe in that party affiliation that they're voting for, but they're so incredibly pissed off and just beyond annoyed at what they see here and now that they'll do it out of spite. The American people have a kind of a long history of doing things out of spite to people that they don't like. Why don't you ask the British about that? Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.